again, everybody. It's Todd Staruch, the horror nerd, here at New Jersey HorrorCon and Film Festival. It's the first day. I am having a blast. Like I tell everybody, I'm just a fan who gets to do some cool stuff. Speaking of getting to do cool stuff, I have the pleasure of sitting here with the lovely and talented Brande Roderick. Brande, how are you?
Hello. I'm doing better now that you're here, Todd.
Oh, flattery will get you everywhere.
I know.
So,
that's why I do it.
Wow. I think you're my new favorite person.
Well, I should be.
You were always up, and now you've moved into the top slot.
Oh, good.
So
yes.
So, Brande, I think this is your first time at New Jersey HorrorCon, right?
Is.
So, what do you think? You having a good time?
I'm having a great time. I noticed that I'm seeing a lot of the same, like, familiar faces that I get to usually see at some of the Jersey shows, which is really fun. So it's always fun to see your fans and continue that friendship.
Exactly. It's the same thing with me. It feels like family.
Yeah.
You know? And, you were talking to my friends across the hall over here, and they asked me, how do you know Brande? And I'm like, well, conventions, but it's one of those things where it's been a long time now that I don't even remember the first time we met.
I know, right?
So, and then I'm like, well, then it doesn't matter, right?
Well, did you tell your friends here what happened earlier when we were walking right here? You and I and your fan that came up?
Oh, so I can't believe you're bringing that up. I'm supposed to be interviewing you. I am going to tell this story until the end of time.
Yes.
I'm standing here with her, okay, in this dress, all right? And some guy walks up and he goes, "You're Todd, right? The horror nerd. I love your YouTube channel. Can I take a picture with you?" I'm like,
yes.
All right.
And guess who had to take the picture?
Brande
I did.
The picture. And I'm like, I will never. This is the best day of my life because I'm standing with someone who's in Playboy and Baywatch, but the dude wants to take the picture with me.
I'm with the celebrity now, man. You're a celebrity. You didn't even know it.
What's wrong with that guy. But that was funny.
Yeah,
that is a convention story now
That'll be your
while.
Favorite one forever
It
now.
will. So
yeah.
So, Brande, recently you ventured out into horror territory here with Wineville.
I love me some horror.
Yes.
Especially Wineville horror.
So, I watched it now a couple of times, and it's a little bit unhinged.
Yeah,
and now I'm a little bit scared of you.
I know.
So, and my first question is,
yes,
what is wrong with you?
A lot.
Okay, fair enough.
A lot is wrong with me. I know. I am sick and demented, but, to my defense, ever since I was a little girl, as far back as I can remember, my parents were just instilling horror in my brain. Like my very first movie, at 6 years old was The Exorcist, watching it with my mom.
Dave, dial Child Protective Services, please.
Exactly. Good thing I'm over 18.
Yeah.
I think she passed the statute of limitations on that one. Thank goodness. But yeah, so it's like that was like my whole life just growing up. We loved horror. We loved Halloween. It's just embedded in me, but it made for a really sick and twisted mind that I have to come up with such a crazy film, Wineville.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I know the answer because you told me your parents introduced you to it, but clearly it took. But why horror? Like, what is it that you like so much about the horror genre?
Well, for me, it's what I know. It's there's a comfortability to it because that's just been my favorite genre my whole life. I know it the best, and so it was just an easy decision to do horror. Yeah.
First thing that pops into your head without thinking about it, favorite horror movie?
Well, I always say
you're already too late.
No, I'm not too late. I talk a lot. Let me just get into my story.
Okay.
I have to say, I always say Nightmare on Elm Street because for me, that film, when I was 12 years old, I watched it and I was so horrified by it, I had to sleep on my parents' floor as a teenager. And so just recently, actually, I wanted my kids to watch it. So I was like, you guys have to watch Nightmare on Elm Street. It's so scary. And I was like, you guys are going to end up sleeping in my room. And we were all making bets on which kid was going to sleep on my floor, the whole thing. We watched the movie. And it was not scary anymore. It was just, it's so funny how, when you're young and we didn't have all the technology we have today. So my kids were like, Mom, that wasn't even scary. I was like, well, it was when I was a kid. But it was kind of funny. But that was always like my favorite growing up.
That's legit.
Yeah.
That's fair. And it's funny you say that because my daughter, as she grew up, started loving horror, and I introduced her to all the stuff that I loved and grew up with. So we watched stuff like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and she's like, Dad, this is not scary at all.
Isn't that so funny?
And I'm like,
I know.
You know what? I'm changing my will.
Yeah.
You're done. You're done.
I know, because that is like the classic. I mean, Texas Chainsaw, that's kind of, my inspiration of, films for making Wineville. Mine's based in 1978. Texas Chainsaw's 1978. That's just, that era was so wonderful and so creepy. But I get how today kids, it's not scary to them because now we're so advanced in our technology. But yeah.
And plus, I think with the advent of the internet, they're exposed to a lot of stuff so much earlier. When I was growing up, there was stuff my mother in a billion years would never let us watch. Mm-hmm. Apparently a little more conservative than
like maybe yours, not mine.
So my brothers and I would have to sneak stuff.
Yeah.
And whatnot. Now, I think my daughter was 13 or 14, and she's like, Dad, my friends had a sleepover, and we watched all the Saw movies. We were up all night, and I'm like, all right, I guess I'm done. What am I going to do now?
Yeah.
So
now
it's like it is what it is.
It is what it is. But you know what? We grew up in an era, I feel, that horror was just, and it's still great. Don't get me wrong, but we just had such a great amount of films. I mean, even we're talking about Camille Keaton. I Spit on Your Grave.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite. And it's not really like would you call it a horror movie, but more a thriller horror. But I love that movie. I just love the movies in the 70s. I love it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So let's come back to Wineville for a second. It's shameless self-promotion time.
I'll always talk about Wineville because that movie is sick.
It is.
Good.
No, I'm not. Just let's take it down for a minute. I'm not saying this because Brande is my friend. This is a good movie.
Thank you.
I enjoyed it. It's delightfully twisted.
Very twisted. Yes.
So you should definitely check it out. I think it's streaming everywhere at this point.
Yeah,
much, right?
Amazon, Apple,
you can get it,
Google, Tubi. Yeah.
So just give the fans out there a little synopsis and where it came from. Anything you want to say about it, go for it.
Well, Wineville was based it was in 1978, and it is a really sick and twisted tale. It's about a very sick and twisted family of serial killers, which, a la Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But Tess is my character, and at a very young age, at 15, she had to run away from home because of some very horrific things that were happening to her at a young age. But when her father passes away, she has to come back to the family vineyard, but now with her young 12-year-old son. So when she comes back, things are just more demented and twisted and blackened and festered over the years when she comes back. So now not only does she have to try and escape, she has to also save her 12-year-old son to try and escape this horrific world. Yeah.
So in the movie, there are some less than pleasant things that are happening to you.
Yes.
How do you get yourself into that mindset to deal with, like violence or, just things that are not pleasant? I don't want to give anything away really about what's happening.
Yeah.
But how do you prep yourself for that kind of intensity?
Well, it's a little thing called acting.
Here we go. She's had jokes all day, folks.
I can't help myself.
My expense, but
I can't help myself. No, you know what? You just get into your character, and the good thing about Tess is that was an easy character for me to play because I am a mom of not only a 12-year-old boy, but that 12-year-old boy that's in that movie.
Yep.
So, to try to imagine horrific things happening to him I mean, it's right there. It's happening. It's like you just feel it, and just being in the moment. That's always key, and it's just working yourself up, getting it going. But it was fun to be able to work with my real son because the emotions were there and they were heightened,
Right.
and it was when I heard him screaming and knowing that we're taking a take, it was like, oh, like I felt it. It was just like, oh my gosh. And the crazy thing is my mom was there one of the days, and there's a scene where something is happening to me, and my mom is off camera looking at the monitor, and she's freaking out. I'm like, we cut, and I said, Mom, it's just a move. We're just pretending. She's like, but you don't understand. It's heart wrenching. And then the scene came up with my son, and he was screaming, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, Mom. I get it now. I get it. I'm like, even though it's pretend, it's like you see that child acting, and it looks so real. It's scary.
I get
Very
it.
scary.
I get
Yeah.
it. My daughter's going to be 20. She's
Yeah.
away at college, and I'm not a worrier by nature.
That's
but
good.
I do understand that my little girl is out in the world
Yes.
somewhere.
Do you
know
have
what I
a
mean?
tracker on her phone?
No,
Do you pay for her phone?
I do.
Then why don't you have a tracker on her phone?
Because
you should find my iPhone on her.
we had an agreement about that.
Oh, she didn't want you looking at her every move?
Right. And, well, you're not the first person to ask me that.
Yeah.
But I work in technology, and I do know that if anything should happen, authorities can still ping her phone, regardless of any of that.
Yes.
So, without going into too much detail, it was more of an issue between her and her mother.
Well, yeah,
than
I got that.
me.
Yeah, okay.
So it was.
Well-
We came to an agreement, and I picked my battles.
We know you have the secret tracker.
So I gave in on that
Okay.
in order to get concessions on other things. Let's put it
Okay.
that way.
All right. I gotcha.
All right.
Okay.
So, one more question for you regarding horror.
Yes.
If there was one horror franchise that you could be a part of, anyone, just magically be a part of it, what would it be?
Oh, gosh. Oh.
This is a stumper of a question today. I've asked it before.
Oh,
and
gosh.
People are like,
Do they have like their one? Do they have their answer immediately, or are they like me?
just like
Okay.
you. Oh, they're stumped.
Well, because there's so many good ones. Which one? Okay, because you're the horror guy.
Okay.
Which horror franchise is the most popular and has the most fans?
You know what? I honestly don't know. Because they all have their fandom, like the Friday the 13th people or the Friday the 13th
Yeah.
people. I'm a Hellraiser guy. I like
yes,
Hellraiser.
I know you like Hellraiser.
You know, but
Yeah.
I have friends. But a close second is Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
You know,
But that's
So-
not really. They're not doing those movies anymore,
No,
right?
no.
I mean, but if they were, I would want to
that's
be in the
okay.
new one. I would definitely want to be in the new
I
one.
should have clarified the question. It doesn't matter.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
If, like, let's say they were going to make another Nightmare on
Oh,
Elm
I
Street.
would for sure love to do another. If they were going to do a new Nightmare on Elm Street, I would love to do that. But I do love, again, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. Even though there's millions of them, I still love. I would love to be a part of that franchise. I love that franchise. Nightmare on Elm Street, I would love it if they would make a new one of those. I would love to be a part of that. But honestly, any of them. I would be honored to be a part of any of them. Like right now, they're making a new Saw. And I'm like, who's directing that? Let me reach out to him. You know, like just,
Yeah.
I love horror movies.
Scream. They're making Scream.
Are they making
movie.
another
There's
one?
another one. Yeah.
Oh,
And
wow.
Scream 7 or 24 or whatever.
Right, and those are such good movies
They
too.
are, yeah.
I mean, those are fun. I like those movies. But no, I love horror films and any of them. So if you're out there watching and you're doing a horror film, here's your girl.
Girl, right here.
Yeah.
All right, the final question.
Yes.
Anything else you want to plug? Anything you're working on now that you want to share with us?
I mean, I just would love that everybody go watch Wineville because, you know,
Indeed.
it would mean a lot to me, right? Go support your indie filmmakers. And I'm starting to shoot in April another horror film called The Treehouse, which is kind of a Stranger Things meets Poltergeist. So that's going to be a real fun one.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So.
Brandy, thank you so much.
Todd.
It is always a pleasure
Hey,
to talk to you.
And I'll
to
be
see
your photographer anytime. Okay.
Nice. I like that. Dave, you are fired.
Sorry, Dave.
Brandy's
There's a
my new
new girl in town.
cinematographer. You know. So
Yeah. All right,
awesome.
guys. Take care.
Brande Roderick here at New Jersey HorrorCon and Film Festival. This is Todd Staruch, the Horror Nerd, signing off. We will see all of you in the next interview.